Buenas tardes, buenos días.
Good morning, everyone, once again. Thank you very much for your attendance here. And we will finish this technical workshops discussing the Cyberwatching project, which is a European project to keep the European Observatory on Cybersecurity and Privacy. Our speaker will be Marina Ramírez, and she will explain the project and the access to innovative solutions available for SMEs. I kindly encourage you, once this last technical workshop, Cybercamp 2018, to join the main auditorium for the closing ceremony at 2 o'clock. Marina, yours is the floor. Thank you very much. First of all, thank you, INCIBE, for granting me the opportunity to discuss the project we are immersed in, and thank you all for staying at this lecture, which is a bit different from every other speech, which is a bit more technical. And we will discuss this project I'm cooperating with, but it can be interesting because then, as professionals in the sector, I think you are up to date with the trends in cybersecurity, and this project tries to bring them together at a European level. So what I'm explaining here, this is a 4-year-long project. It started last year. It's only been 19 months and still has a long way ahead of us. We will only use 15 minutes here, and I don't want to take 1 hour of your time. But if you have questions after the presentation, ask me. You'll have my contact details as well, and if you need me, here I am. I will explain the goal of the project, why we have Cyberwatching. Second, I will explain what this project is, and then thirdly, what coordination actions for that activities for cybersecurity and privacy. Basically, they work with research and development projects and SMEs. That's what I'm going to explain here. As I was saying, these are my data. You see my email on screen. So if you have questions, goal. The goal here is for this project to become the European Observatory for Innovation and initiatives for cybersecurity and privacy, all in capital letters. As you all know, in Europe and in any other European country and the different regions, there's funding with public money, projects on cybersecurity and privacy, but there is no institution, no body coordinating all those subsidies for the projects, and oftentimes projects are duplicated. And so at the European Commission there was this need to coordinate all these initiatives to learn what's going on, and so that efforts and money invested are not doubled or duplicated. So with the Cyberwatching project we've defined, implemented, and we will keep an observatory of initiatives for research and innovation in the fields of cybersecurity and privacy for Europe and partner countries. Is not Age 2020, not just that horizon, but every other initiative from any project funded with the national money, whether Interconnector or the regional government, CDTI, or any similar institutions in other European countries, with the goal of building synergies amongst the different projects and initiatives to improve the world of cybersecurity without doubling efforts or duplicating efforts. How will we manage? This will revolve around 2 main focuses. From this point here, this will have to do with research and development, and from this side onwards, it has to do with SMEs. As for the projects, I cannot really read it from here, but first, the observatory. The project observatory is basically a list of R&D projects, whether national or European or regional. If you're part of any cybersecurity or privacy project that is not listed at this observatory, you can email us as part of the project and we will upload it, your project. The idea is to gather a whole list so that people can have access and will have contact details so that people can cooperate if they wish. That's first Second, I cannot really see, but second, after this observatory, we have the service catalog for research and development, which is just a list of projects, but filtered and classified following a taxonomy, which is this one here. And well, it is a classification method for projects produced for Cyberwatching. So the projects are segmented based on the action lines or work lines, and there we will have it sectorized, and this will be better defined. And then third idea is agreement. What's agreement? Those would be different events that will be carried out for those projects to get to know each other, and they can cooperate. And so we can also see firsthand what projects are there to add them to our observatory and to the solution list if needed. When it comes to companies, we have the marketplace and the end user club, which I'll explain later because I guess that's what's most interesting to all of you. And so I'll do that afterwards. And then for SMEs, we have legal advice, especially now that we have the R&I directive and the data protection regulation. And so we came together, 7 partners, and CITIC, we are outsourced by one of the partners, but very much involved in the project. Some partners are experts in cybersecurity, and they offer tips and training, and based on what we learn from that contact with projects, different activities are produced for them. And then finally, we have the clusters. Sure, the clusters. And all throughout Europe, there are so many clusters specialized in cybersecurity and privacy, or merely ICTs, but within ICTs, there's a specific task force there. We want to stay in close contact with them because through them we can reach larger and other research and development projects, and so we can keep monitoring it all. How we will do all of that? And I'm here because it is in a funnel. You see that funnel shape? Or a bottleneck, you see the larger part of it, which is the Observatory for all research and development initiatives, and then the 2 last parts, which is Marketplace and End Users Club. As I was saying, here through the internet or clusters or H2020 website, everything having to do with research and development and cybersecurity and privacy, this all goes on to the observatory. From there onwards, using this taxonomy, as I said, this is a classification method for projects to segment different projects into groups. That's where we use the observatory and we define the solution catalog or repertoire. And so we classify projects and we try to move forward in standardizing and certifying cybersecurity and privacy, and also best legal practices. Then after classifying or implement them based on type of project, we looked into the maturity, whether technological maturity or market access. So how close they are to the market, and why is that? Because in the end, those cybersecurity solutions need to be taken up by companies or else reused by other projects. So it is not a repeat of a project. So if it's extending, if it's out there, there you have it. And that would be a one-stop shop for all solutions regarding cybersecurity. And these would be the most innovative solutions in Europe. All right? And with that, well, we have classified the project, we've looked into the tech maturity and how close they are to the market, and they will be offered in that solution catalog. And we also have what I said before, the agreement method so projects get to know each other. Then finally, we move to the marketplace and the end user club. Briefly, even though I'll go deeper into it, the marketplace is nothing but a hub for offer and supply. So what we'll do is basically, of all the projects we've looked into, as we are looking into its technological maturity and proximity to the market, if they are mature technologically or commercially speaking for them to go into the market, they go into the marketplace.
and that will be done together with innovative SME solutions. That will be the marketplace then with end users who want to validate or test or buy cybersecurity solutions. And then the last step will be if I have, for instance, an ICT company, not necessarily connected with cybersecurity, but I want to test cybersecurity solutions that might not have sufficient maturity to be marketed, but almost, well, they just have that little bit more to be marketable, and then they really benefit from that little bit of help for them to do so. So I told you earlier about the projects. You can now access Cyberwatching.eu, that observatory, where we have 219 projects from all over Europe. And CT, where I work, has done a very good role, has had a very good role. They have contact points in all different European member states where the Age 2020 program provides information, and then we've contacted them so that we can tell which projects have been funded, so we can include them in our catalog. So any of you in 2019, if you know of any projects that are not on the list, please let us know. The projects are then classified into those two different levels. First level, which is more systems oriented. The second one is more about user protection, and the third one has more to do with governance projects. Then there is also further classification to segment them in more detail. There's also a special two, so that we really know how mature they are commercially and for them to be marketed. And then there's another tool which is very common in technology, which is the technology radar. We can see it up on the screen. You can also check on the Cyberwatching.eu website with all the national projects classified, and you can see those the pie with the different slices. And then the closer you are to the core of that circle, it means it's a project that is closer to adoption. The further away from the core, it means the project is more obsolete, or maybe because it's technologies that are not mature enough for adoption, and then they would need to be analyzed by the Cyberwatching project. Let's look at the companies now. They're part of clusters, and we're now contacting the European clusters because that's the best way for us to reach out to the R&D projects. We contact them, we ask them to participate in our activities and for their companies to participate as well. We organize webinars to hear their opinions so that universities and technology centers are also present. That's a very good source for us to contact people. And then the last two elements are, what I'm going to tell you about now. Starting with the marketplace, which is a great way for you to contact manufacturers and suppliers in the European single market. As suppliers, you would find tools and software there which are almost ready to be marketed, so you can test them from that very exclusive access point. I can also see products and services that can then be validated, because if I have a tool that needs validation, then I can offer it to the marketplace, and then the end users club, I will tell you about that now, would be validating that as well. If I still need to have outcomes validated, or an SME that needs to validate a product, well, I then offer it to the marketplace and users would validate it. Then users would also logically have access to the most innovative cyber security technologies because there are all those partners there. I would have that innovative technology at hand. And then if I have a particular need which is not offered, well, I can let them know that I have that need so that maybe one of their players can meet my need. So that's basically it for users. Apologies, but I can't see the screen very well from where I'm standing. And then the end user club is the last element I want to tell you about, is the way for a validation, testing and adoption of R&D solutions. Those R&D projects, again, that are not very mature for them to be marketed, but that are looking good in that sense. So that's the time to talk to them so that I can include that into my project. Why waste resources if that's already been done by somebody else? The club would then validate the solutions. It would also provide support for new implementations and services, because if I have a product that's still missing an element, the club would help me get in touch with whoever can help me with that. There will also be open calls, because very often European projects have open calls, and a small part of that budget is open to third parties, to companies and organizations that can submit proposals for how to implement the pilot or the solution, and that's all done at the end user club. Then visibility is important for the club. I can, for instance, let them know about success cases. If a validation has gone well, I can publicize it at the club. You can also find out there about the webinars, the workshops we organized, because clusters then identify activities that are important for projects or SMEs. All of that happens at the end user club, which is also a great opportunity for networking, for you to find partners for H2020 projects or national projects. You can imagine that gives a lot of European scope. So that's it for my presentation. I encourage you to check the website with more details. I don't know if there's time now for questions or comments from the floor, but I just want you to understand that we want to have all those R&D initiatives in our project, with the marketplace and the end user club as the main elements that really help with security and safety and privacy for those projects. So please get in touch. I'm on M. Ramírez